you so much for finding time to be with us today. It is the 6th of July 2022. The show is Good Morning Africa. I apologize for that. My audio is not on yet. I apologize for that sincerely. But a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Amira Mugutu, and as usual, it is a pleasure to have you on board. I'll just take us through quickly. First of all, we apologize for the late start. We had a bit of some technical hitch, but no worries. We will cover whatever we were meant to cover this morning. I'll start with the Standard newspaper. The main headline, the high cost of presidential spurt. The clergy warn the fight between president and his deputy is polarizing the country. Experts say the exchange is putting jitters on the economy 1 month to the general election, but politicians are engaged in blame games. Previous efforts to reconcile the pair have come to naught. Who will bridge the divide? The story is on page 6. Hotelier Waititu paid me 380 million Kenya shillings in 8 months, and then court puts IEBC in fix on nomination. Judge says rule on signatures for independent aspirants not constitutional, and that is a conversation we shall be having in a short while. And the story is on page 5 on the Standard newspaper. The Daily Nation, Wetangula link to ballot printer. That also is a story we shall have this morning on page 7. And fear of packed presidential race as court reverses rule. You'll find that on page 6. Summons on the mount on the campaign trail. Ruto sustains his attack on ungrateful Kenyatta in a whirlwind Mount Kenya tour as Raila asks the region to return him the favor of backing local presidential candidates. You'll find that on the inside of the Daily Nation. And the Star newspaper revealed Uhuru men hold steer land handover. Team's top bureaucrats don't see eye to eye with Ruto, whose team wants a fairness. The story is on page 4 and 5. Kenya third worldwide in teenage pregnancies. Now that is worrying. That story is on page 6. And then Ruto hands for votes in Isiolo as Raila champs Nyeri. That is the main pictorial on the Star newspaper. How Taveta turned dry land into cash cow through groundnuts. That is on page 14 and 15. And suspects in Nakuru women murders detained for 14 days. That is on page 9. So that is what we have on the front pages of the leading newspapers from the country. The rest we shall look at on our next show. The rest of the papers from across the continent and outside. But right now I want to bring in my panelist. I'm joined by Gladwell Kirago. I think she's in Nairobi now. Gladwell, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam. A very good morning to my fellow correspondent. A very good morning to our viewers. Yes, I'm back. I'm in Nairobi now.
All right, nice to see you. Join us back to the cold. You are in the Lake City. I know it was a bit warm there, but you're welcome back to Nairobi. We've been battling this cold, but we're still all right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are also joined by Kiptanui Savania, all the way from the Rift Valley. Yesterday he was in Joro. I don't know where he is situated today, but Kiptanui, good morning to you. Nice to have you on the show. Okay, so as you wait to join there, a bit of some technical hitch or some delay, we are also joined by Douglas Kirimi. He's still at the coastal city of Mombasa. Douglas, good morning. All right, so it appears we're having a bit of a problem, but no worries. Our technical crew is sorting that out, and we shall have them here. I can't hear you, Kiptanui. I don't know if you can hear me, because I really can't. Good morning. You're muted.
Good morning, Miriam. I'm telling you live from Nakuru CBD.
Oh, you are at Nakuru CBD. Okay, fine. So just stay there because I want to start with you. And I think we've also been joined by Jevan Karanja. So let's just start with this bombshell. And I think something that perhaps, might bring a bit of some confusion even as we're ready for our elections in August. The High Court has quashed a requirement that independent presidential hopefuls present signatures from a specified number of supporters before they are cleared to vie. The order by Justice Anthony Murima did not direct Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to include names of the independent candidates on the ballot. It only declared sections of the Elections Act as unconstitutional. It, however, means that any independent candidate can petition IEBC to have their name included in the ballot as an aspirant for any position. Justice Mrima said it was unfair for Wafula Chebukati-led commission to require the candidates to hunt for signatures and accompany them with IDs, while those who were vying after being nominated by their parties were not required to do the same. The judge said the differential treatment was against the equality and the right of all to vie or seek elective posts. According to the judge, IEBC already has data of all persons to have registered as voters. He said it can use the same data to ascertain if a person has the required threshold of support. And I know when IEBC put this as one of the requirements to be cleared as an independent candidate, we took our time to peruse through even the Electoral Act. It's not there. So Chebukati probably knew well and good that he was operating, and he put a directive that was not even in the Constitution. So why would he do that? I'll start with you, Kiptanui.
Good morning once again, Miriam. It is, as we said in the morning in some other posts, that Chebukati does not mean good for this country. Chebukati is a tool that is being used by cartels, maybe to rock these elections as we are having only 33 days to go. I want to say this without fear, that Chebukati has become a tool. He is now being used to cartel by cartels. As you have stated, Miriam, most of the things that Chebukati is doing is not constitutional. And as Daktari said recently, that one person can go to court and challenge Chebukati. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And in case you're wondering, Kiptano is joining us all the way from Nakuru, the fourth, I think, city in Kenya. It was just granted that charter a couple of months ago. Gladwell Kiragu, we know, and this is a conversation that we've been having here, and now the independents have been cleared. This has given them a lifeline, so now they could go ahead and petition IEBC to include them in the ballot paper. But even with that, there was already an irregularity that was going on. Remember, these candidates are being asked to bring the copies of the signatures from their supporters, 48,000 of them, and yet at that time, even the register itself had not been verified, had not been audited, and we did not have the clean register that we have right now. So there's a possibility, even for those who brought these names before, maybe they brought in names of people who were dead, because there's no verifying that. And from against which register did they get these names from? Because the register was already not clean. So already that is a problem within the law itself. And then on top of that, Chebukati asked these candidates to bring in the signatures and this requirement is not really anchored in the Constitution. So being a lawyer, why would he put this forth? Did he not know that?
Miriam, I agree with what my brother said. I think Chebukati is always a confused man. And at this point, Miriam, I think it's high time he just walks away from the seat, because he's just doing us not any better. He's not doing any good to us. Miriam, how can you tell? I mean, we have only few days, 34 days left. And those few days are not for telling people you need to do this, the presidential aspirant that you need. They are busy campaigning. So that means you're telling them to bring the signature. Then they stop the campaigning, they mobilize, and then they come back to campaigning again, 34 days. We had almost 4 years back before, because they knew definitely 2022 in August we are supposed to have elections. So some of these things, actually, which are not even in the Constitution, they could have actually done them a long time ago. And that's why, Miriam, at this point, it's either they come clean and tell citizens, I mean, we have not done so much. Can we just postpone this election? Because by the look of things, this won't be election. It will just be something so chaotic and something so messy, or something very confused. So Chebukati is just becoming a confused person daily. And him being a lawyer, I think he should do better. He should do better than he's doing. I think this is not the time to start implementing what should be done and what should not be done. This is not the time. It should have been done a long time ago. Can they stop this hide and seek game? And yes, now, can they stop this hide and seek game? How can he give these people the chance to campaign? and actually sell their manifesto to the people. For 34 days, Miriam, we have no time actually left. We have no time.
It's actually 33 days. Can you imagine that? And you're still dealing with these problems. I think even for the last elections, which was highly contested, I think by now a couple of things were in order, but as it appears, Chebukati has to keep firefighting, and I don't know, time is of the essence here. But this is what Justice Murima said, Douglas, even as you come in. From the foregoing, there is no doubt that once a person is registered as a voter, the IEBC retains the details of the voter, including the identification number of the voter or Kenyan passport. So such details are sufficient for ascertaining support. So he was saying, once these candidates brought the names, for you to insist they have to bring the ID, photocopies and all that, that is not necessary, because as far as IEBC is concerned, they should be having a database of these voters within their system. So it is upon them to confirm if these names are actually there and not lay the burden to the candidates to go and collect, these photocopy IDs. And so that is just one of the bases in which Judge Murima disqualified this, requirement by the IEBC. Douglas Kirimi, did we see this coming, or what is really going on here? Was it a poor oversight on the IEBC's part? Douglas? Or Karanja, you can come.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam Ogutu. I'm having technical issues here, but I think from my perspective that Wafula Chebukati is not committed to a free, credible and fair election in this country. And I've said before that for Wafula Chebukati to purport to hold elections in the next 32 or 33 days is a fallacy, Miriam. That election is not going to be free and fair. Postpone elections to 2023 in March or April so that Wafula Chebukati can be able to prepare. And maybe Wafula Chebukati to be prosecuted, Miriam, because you cannot spend billions of dollars for you to come out here and tell us that this election is no longer going to be free and fair. Prosecute Wafula Chebukati, reconstitute IBC, and then hold elections in March or April 2023. Retest Miriam, and if they can push that election for about 1 year, Miriam, that is when we can be able to prepare properly. I can believe from my heart, there is a person who believes he would have won as an independent candidate, but after they were disqualified by Wafula Chebukati, they have used their resources, Miriam, to go to court and to go to other places to say.
We apologize for that. Seems to be having a bit of a technical hitch and a connection problem from Douglas, who is still in Mombasa, the coastal city. So once we're able to get him, clearly we'll have him back in board. I saw Jevan, who was also still, I believe, in Mombasa. Join us, Jevan Karanja, if you can hear me. Good morning. It is still good morning, 10 minutes to midday here in Nairobi. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Miriam, our viewers, and my fellow panelists. It's always a pleasure being in Punchline Africa television.
So yesterday, there was a ruling that happened in the High Court where Judge...
They should be equal to...
Sorry, Douglas, we missed you there. There was a bit of a problem with your connection. Would you... all right, just complete your thought, and then I can bring in Javen. We've lost him. Okay, so let's just move on. So this ruling by Judge Murima that now has given the independent candidates a lifeline, and they could possibly go back and petition IEBC to be included in the presidential ballot paper, because they're saying the judge ruled that this requirement of them getting the photocopy of their IDs, and that requirement is not hinged on the law. So that was a violation. And also, according to the law, according to the judge, he said that the manner in which the independent candidates are being treated, there was a bit of a differential treatment, and was against equality and the right for all to vie, because I said it was unfair for the Wafula Chebukati-led commission to require the candidates, the independent candidates, to hunt for signatures and accompany them with the IDs, while those who were vying after being nominated by their parties are not required to do the same. So that is the differential treatment according to this judge. So what do you make of this new ruling, and how will that affect the preparation of our elections, as if we don't have enough problems already?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. In this country, we are still having some electoral unpreparedness. When you look at the Wafula Chebukati-led commission, you'll see a lot of loopholes, a lot of gaps, and a lot of gray areas in terms of preparedness towards this general election. And I so unfortunate that we have people maybe who are denied a chance to run for the presidency because of these roles that Wafula Chebukati set for himself to intimidate and to blackmail the independent candidates. Yes, it was clear that independent candidates, they didn't get the same treatment with other counterparts who maybe were sponsored by political parties. And that is unfortunate because we need fairness. And that shows that if we go with Wafula Chebukati all the way to the ballot, he might also bring that kind of treatment to some of the presidential candidates. I have seen Deputy President complain that Wafula Chebukati or the election will not be free and fair. I have also seen people from Azimio saying the same. Therefore, when you look at these issues, there's a kind of uncertainty, there's a kind of, there's a vacuum, rather, in terms of election. Because even that ruling, Miriam, to some point, it will contradict the entire electoral process. One, we have independent gubernatorial candidates. We have independent senatorial candidates who are required also to present a copy of their supporters and signatures. Will this law also affect them? Will it reciprocate downwards towards other political aspirants? Therefore, I think at this juncture, as a country, we need to have prepared well. And when you look at the 2007 mirage of an election that brought chaos in this country, the people, the work report, and all the people, the mediators who came to this country, the Kofi Annan and the others, they advised Kenyans to be preparing for an election 1 year prior to the general election. So by this time, Wafula Chebukati should have prepared everything. In fact, he should be doing some experimenting activities on the ground, seeing whether some parts of this country have the internet connectivity, and ensuring that everything will run smoothly and swiftly when we go to that big day. But as it stands now, Miriam, something needs to be done, and I think it's not only a failure by Wafula Chebukati, but also our legislators and all the other stakeholders who are involved in these electoral processes. They have slept on their job, and I think as we move to 2027, because I know maybe in the course of this that they will have an election, as we go to beyond this election, Miriam, Kenyans need to wake up. We need to be preparing adequately for these elections to avoid the kind of problems that we have. Because if we go with this Wafula Chebukati all the way to the ballot, we might have some problems. And I think if that is the case, I think Kenyans should recommend, if the term of president, if they can extend maybe with some few months, so that Wafula Chebukati can prepare well, can set everything clear. I think it would be more good. We waste some few billions now preparing for good election, rather than wasting lives, properties, and people being displaced because of a rashly prepared election. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, we shall come to the matter of the ballots in a very short while. Before bringing Doc, let me just read through a few lines on how the Daily Nation has captured this story on page 6. The Electoral Commission is staring at a legal crisis after the High Court quashed directives that require presidential candidates to submit copies of identification documents of their supporters. Justice Anthony Murima, in a judgment that could make the presidential election a crowded race, also said the regulations that required independent candidates to submit copies of identification documents of their supporters are unconstitutional. He said the regulations enacted by the Independent Electorals and Boundaries Commission IEBC in 2012 and amended in 2017 contravened the Constitution and the Data Protection Act. Since the IEBC has already started printing ballot papers in Athens, Greece, it is unclear whether it will be restarted with the inclusion of aspirants who had been disqualified on the basis of the failure to submit identification documents of their supporters. Doc, we are facing at a legal crisis. Is this just the beginning of this legal crisis that we might see that is likely to now, boil into other things? Because we know there are a lot of things that have been happening outside of the Constitution. So a lot of Kenyans have been watching, and perhaps they're ready to start going to the courts. This new ruling, what do you make of it? Okay, we're having a bit of a... Doc, can you hear me? Okay, so perhaps Doc is not ready. But as I mentioned there, Kiptanui, we know that even these names were being submitted to the Electoral Commission before the register was even cleaned up. So there's also a doubt of how authentic these names were, even for the candidates that were able to collect these 48,000 names. So are we just staring at a start of a hectic legal battle against the IEBC, even as it braves whatever it is, that the challenges that it's going through to continue preparing for these elections?
Thank you, Miriam. As I said earlier, one person can go to court to challenge Chebukati. As you said about the names, how did the IEBC verify those names? It is actually a lot of work. It's a lot of work to verify those names. And most of these, as you have said, these names were submitted before the revision of register. Maybe even most of the people are dead on that list, on that register. So we are now not prepared for these elections. As my brother said, we postpone it. Instead of us using a lot of resources to heal this country, Miriam, you are alive in 2007, 2008. You are alive in 2017. So the nullification of presidential elections of 2017, it opened some eyes to a lot of people. People will go to court and they will challenge that. We are calling for Chebukati. If he is sober enough, let us postpone these elections because we are not prepared for this. These elections is a recipe of chaos. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And also we have to remember that the voters register after the audit was supposed to be made available at least 60 days to the general election, which we know that timeline also did not work for the IEBC because it required a bit of time to rectify some of these anomalies that are found within the register, the people who are double registered, the people who are registered with the wrong documents and things like that. So the IEBC needed time to clear that up before it made this register available to the public days after the constitutionally allowed time had passed. So that is also another legal hurdle. Doc, I don't know if you're able to join us now. If you can hear me, it's afternoon actually. It's 12 noon here in Nairobi.
Oh yes. Thank you very much. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have had a bit of network here. I would have joined you at the top of the hour, but I'm here now. Thank you very much. Miriam, there is only one word I want to tell you, and that's not to go cancel the election. Cancel it. Haven't I been saying there? What did you tell me yourself? What did you tell me? No, we are here. I told you I would ask you. For 2 years, I've been telling you, don't allow Chebukati to handle your ballot. You are heading for a disaster. You cannot accept to head for a disaster. You cannot pay taxpayers' money and to a bungled election. Whether Raila gets 70%, whether Ruto gets whatever percentage, Miriam, it is now very clear from your mouth, my mouth, everybody's mouth, this thing will be nullified. So I'm a Gentile. I preach to the Jews. Cancel it. Cancel. If I were Kenyatta, I would show Ruto that I'm worth it now. And unfortunately, I'm not Kenyatta. I would show that bagger. You know, these are guys who went and collected printers. Wasn't I shouting about the Greece? Didn't I use an example that $10,000 in Athens, the Prime Minister will know you are around. Wetangula, there is another link, and they thought we cannot leak it to the information. I leaked it, and I leaked it to the nation guys. I'm leaking more tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow. There is even a bombshell. You will cancel this election. Wallahi amu. You have to cancel this election so that Kenyans can have a free and a fair election. This election, Mr. President, is zero. You are creating bloodshed. I have been to ICC. I know how a conflict starts. This one is a conflict already. It is smelling a conflict. So a normal man who has gone to school like me, that I wait here, that I'm observing an lecture, Kwenda. In fact, I will not even observe. I want to, if I were drinking brandy, I would drink at the beach and wait for the announcement. Just drink until tomorrow. And then wait for 9th. Sikia medium. Sikia. Wait for 9th. You need Dr. Matanga again. You have undergraded me, but time is going to come when you will miss my words. This is no election here. Have you seen now? 34 days left, Miriam. And now we have a bombshell. There is another one coming tomorrow. The printer is related to Dr. Mugo. Tonight, you know Dr. Muge. You know Dr. Muge? The businessman, mafia man who does mafia deals for the brother-in-law. The father who produces the wife of Dr. Muge, a Greek, is the owner of the printer. The printing press. Look at that. It's coming tomorrow. Now you tell me, Dr. Muge, Wetangula, Chebukati's brother, with Wetangula, and Chebukati's Makoha, they were cited. Video in the same. Chebukati's brother does business. My friend, Stephen, pull out that article where I said Chebukati's brother does business with Ruto. People did not listen to me. Those are the people, the Makoha you are talking about. Makoha and Chebukati. Excuse me? What is the relationship? Isn't it a brother, a cousin? So who was asking for the visa to Schengen to travel in Netherlands to change money, transfer money? Who is the government official who signed for this document, for the printing? Now we want to know, Mr. President, who signed for this deal? If the are we not having to arrest our own children? We have to. Yes, yes, we have to arrest them. They have been building apartments. No, they have been building apartments on Mathanga's name. Watashikwa sasa. Ndio hiyo, you are spoiling your own nation. It's not me, honestly, you are spoiling your own nation. I pity you people. You are destroying your own nation. I am a foreigner. I'm saying the truth. Miriam, this thing is bungled, already bungled. Aki, if I were the president of the Republic of Kenya, I don't want to go through this. There will be a lot of problems after this election is announced. There is no side that is going to accept. Now, we have 53 people coming back. try to appeal against them, they will go up
And
to
Doc, you know,
Supreme
like the presidential ballot papers had already started being printed, I believe.
They have to stop.
They might restart again now.
They have to stop the ballot. There is no way we are gonna now. Murima for the first time has done a good thing. How do you stop people? Those signatures were of dead people. Which law was Nani using? Chebukati. He says he doesn't know what a degree looks like. Then why do you ask for a degree as the chairman of the Electoral Commission? Hello, Azimio. Hello.
So, Doc, now that you brought in the matter of the printing, let me just give our panelists and our audience a background story of what we're actually talking about. The story is on page 7. Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party yesterday kicked up a storm over what it claimed was interference in the printing of this year's general election ballot papers by a close ally of Deputy President William Ruto, whom it accused of frolicking with a group of Greek businessmen awarded the ballots tender in October last year. The Odinga camp claimed that Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula in January last year invited the three Greeks to Kenya to discuss investment opportunities, and that 9 months later, in October the same year, the same individuals landed the lucrative tender from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission through their company Inform Lycos SA Holdings. Documents show the Greek firm was in October 2021 awarded a 3 billion Kenya shillings contract by IEBC to supply and deliver ballot papers, printed register of voters. A printed register of voters, the one that Chebukati is saying will not be used, but they were also given a mandate to print a register of voters, statutory election results declaration forms, and election results declaration. All the materials the nation understands are to be used in this year's general election. Yesterday, the Azimio Coalition Party, through Secretary General Junet Mohammed, demanded that IEBC, in conjunction with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations (DCI), immediately commence full and thorough investigations on Senator Wetangula's relationship with Inform Lycos and take action immediately. Now, just you brought in the name of that person, Makoha. So in June 10th, 2021, 2 months before the IEBC publishes the tender of the supply of ballot papers and other electoral materials, Mr. Wetangula writes to the Greek ambassador to Kenya, Mr. Antonios Sugopoulos, pushing to have Mr. Joshua Abdallah Makoha from Bungoma issued with a Schengen entry visa. You know, the Schengen is one visa you get and you're allowed to move around Europe. It's called the Schengen visa, to travel to Athens, Greece. And then in August 2021, the IEBC publishes the tender for the supply and delivery of ballot papers and other election materials. Remember, it happened in June 10th. That's when Wetangula asked for this person to be issued with this visa. And then in August of the same year, just maybe a couple of months later, IEBC publishes the tender for the supply and delivery of ballot papers and other election materials. 2 months earlier, it had held a virtual meeting with bidders on the same. And of course, the same month, on 14th, 2021, the tender is awarded to Info Lycos. So earlier August, they announced for the tender, and then on 14th of the same, just 2 weeks later, that tender is awarded. And I know such a tender, it usually takes a long time to do due diligence, to go look at if they have the capacity, to check if their papers are right, to check, like it takes a while, but 14 days later, they were awarded. Okay, so November of the same year, just a couple of months later, the Public Procurement Administration Review Board nullifies the ballot supply tender, but the decision is soon overturned by the High Court because they did find some irregularities. Now, this Azimio is also, they also put the IEBC and specifically Chairperson Wafula Chebukati in the tough position of defending himself of infiltrating by political player and accusations of opaque practices in the procurement. So this is what IEBC is saying. Mr. Wetangula wrote to the Greek ambassador to allow Mr. Abdallah to be given this the visa, and this is what they're quoting. What Wetangula wrote, that he personally knows this Makoha, and he wanted him to be issued with the Schengen visa to enable him to travel to Athens, Greece. And for these people are supposed to be investors who are supposed to be investing in Bungoma and all that, but there are no any records showing if these people actually invested in Bungoma. So in a nutshell, that is what we're dealing with now, Doc. It's a background of the story
Now, hold the fire.
This is too much.
Hold the fire. There is more coming.
Can we take
in
it?
The same, yes, in the same month, we shouted and told the whole world. I came out and said, Wetangula is a thief, a thief. If he was left in Sirisa, he would be stealing chicken runners, this chicken that run in the village. Wetangula is a man. If he goes back to the village, all people remove their wives to come to Bungoma and to Eldoret because they are worried they can't be sleeping peacefully. Wetangula is the same man. You can see how thieves went to line with Ruto in order to it is not a marriage of good politics. It is a marriage of theft. Wetangula has caused us a lot of problems since 1985. Some of us were detained by Moi because of Wetangula selling land titles of people who were working in his office. Then he went on stealing money from this, we had a lot of problems. But now, if you want to ask more about Wetangula, ask Simiyu, the brother of Esau. I know Moses very well. Me, where Moses steps, I don't step. Because it is theft throughout. But for me, I'm not interested now in him. I'm interested in the guy who should be called by the president, should call him now, say you are taking the country towards a slippery route. When you are fuller, when the Chief Justice said, can we sit down and understand how things are going to work? Wafula came for the first day and pulled out. Because they didn't want this thing to be asked. They did not want this tender to be asked. They pulled out. Ruto told them, pull out. Ruto has been meeting with Wetangula. A few weeks ago, all editors, go to their accounts and go to their houses. Mr. DCI, go to every editor of the newspaper and the station here. Go to their houses. There is money. If they have not banked it, there is money that was passed over. Miriam, I was talking about this, and on the show, you were there. And you said, editors meet. No. Money, Wetangula, Mr. Chebukati organized the editors to go to Diani Beach. It's shameful. And Miriam, let me not even talk now today. Miriam is very shameful. We have no election here. Some of the editors refused the money. Those who have conscience refused the money. Because Chebukati wanted to treat the media so that the media does not highlight these things. And can I tell you, Miriam, today? The editors who refused the money have published the story, and tomorrow there is another one, a bombshell. So if you say, I am not just Nikona, we know, Tukona ink. What is it called tonight? Ink. Nikona ink. In the Diani Beach, it was the same time Ruto was in Kwale, holding a rally here. They came and met in a hotel here on this near up here in the North Coast. All editors were lined up and they told they are free also. That they were free to announce their results. Isn't it strange, Miriam, that every newspaper agency can announce the results? What CNN does is just a prediction, but not announcing the real results. The real results are announced by CNN when they have got it from a returning officer. Well, tally. How on earth can you tell that each radio station should have a returning tally center? Is this an election? For me, let me stop here. Let's cross over to Douglas.
Yeah, and also before you cross over to Douglas, I was just going through Senator Wetangula's Twitter handle because, you know, they're usually very quick to respond to some of these things on social media. I've not seen any response. I think the last time he tweeted was 3 days ago. But you would think this would be the kind of story that one would be quick to jump and maybe defend themselves.
We have got him now. So maybe
it's still too early in the day. Maybe he will come out and tell us his
see.
position.
No, we are ready. Let's see. We are going to bring him more.
All right. Before we go to Douglas,
there's enough evidence. There's enough evidence to pin Wafula and Chebukati and force Wafula to go to committee voluntarily.
And these are very serious matters, so we don't expect him to be quiet. We expect him, Kenyans expect him to come out and address these matters, and also Senator Wetangula and also Chebukati, because at this point, such issues can really be problematic to this country, which we know we are at a very sensitive time as far as towards preparation of this election is concerned. So this is not a light matter. So hopefully by the end of today, Chebukati and IEBC would have issued a statement, and also Senator Wetangula, who has been mentioned here adversely, we expect to hear from him, hopefully by the end of today. But the new revelation...
you are issuing a statement.
I am...
Just you people in Kenya issuing a statement does not make us worthy.
I really want to hear what they have to say.
They have nothing.
This is very serious, Doc. They must come out and say something.
Miriam, they have bungled this election. It's sad. Let's be honest. It is sad that a good election, a good country, goes down to the dogs. The sadness. Have you seen the sadness? At the end of the day, already you see the firing lines. ODM and Azimio have said, no way. We want to know that it has ignited a very big debate. Okay? It does.
And if you know Raila the way we know him as far as the politics in this country is concerned, he's not one person who goes and just says something. Usually he will look for the information, he will do his due diligence. I'm not saying these statements are correct, but now the burden of proof, I think, lies with IEBC and specifically Chebukati, who they've said they've singled him out, and Senator Wetangula. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Gladwell Kirago.
Miriam, you know, there's a statement I've picked you saying that we're interested in hearing what they have to say, the response. I think where we are seated and the rate at which things are going by, we are not waiting. We don't want to hear what we don't want to hear or to see what their response. Now, it has reached a point whereby now it's the high time to act. And this is my call to our president. And I remember when we woke up to vote for the Uhuru, as the Central people, the Mount Kenya people, we are voting because of Uhuru. And despite leaving aside the legacy trend of Uhuru and what Uhuru has done, I think it's high time the president now, as he's about to exit, can he return the favor now? Can he return the respect to the Mount Kenya people? Because Miriam, one thing what I'm going to say is this election, there is no election. Can he come clean and say, or can he go and say no? Let us push this election. Let us have somebody replace Chebukati till next year, or till end of this year. Actually, it is very weird to have elections on August. Miriam, what if they turn to be chaotic? For example, what happens? Miriam, schools are about to reopen, then they close again for a short time. What happens, Miriam, what if there's chaos? That means the whole program or the whole school program then is disrupted again. Parents outside are crying, you're just breaking for 1 week, then they're back to paying school fees, and which is huge. So can they push this election when they're ready? Maybe to December. That is a free holiday. I mean, that's a holiday. Let us push it to there at December where everybody is free. So I think this is the only way we can solve these things. But at the same time, can we do away with the Chebukati? It's just doing us. It's just being messy. It's not helping us at all.
Yeah.
Mama from Kisumu is mad today, this morning.
Mama is back to Nairobi, but I think the date for the election is cast on stone. It can be changed. But that is in the Constitution. If we need to take it back to December, like we used to vote in December, then that has to be decided in Parliament. I don't know if you require a referendum.
We have to call back a Parliament.
Yes.
Given these new revelations, the President has to summon the Parliament, let him explain his case to the Parliament, and most probably cancel this election for the good of Kenya. Kenyans will accept that we go back. All the stakeholders, look, 53 people are coming and they are going to nowhere, but until they are on the ballot. 53. Because the court has given them a lifeline. One, the signatures that Chebukati was using were fake. So he was demanding signatures from them fake. Jermaine, don't you see the problem we are having? Then I think Gladwell is correct to say, just get rid of Chebukati, let him go away. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. For me, I've never had good blood with Chebukati. Actually, move.
Your cousin?
No, I don't. There is Douglas has got somebody in Mombasa. Douglas, where are you, my friend? It looks like you are in Mombasa again. Old city, you have a friend of mine. I can see him there.
Thank you, Dr. David Matanga, and I'm joined by Kirenya Mwenda, the Mbas Party youth leader from Meru County. He has also gone to Dauphin Hotel to see what William Ruto has been able to do and steal public resources and invest in Mombasa County. Maybe he can introduce himself as your friend and maybe say something about the elections also, because I also believe that Wafula Chebukati should be kicked out of IEBC and be sent to committee, because all these aspirants who are running for president in this country, Dr. David Matsanga, have had no time to campaign, and it would be illegal and it would be against the natural social justice way to allow Raila Odinga and William Ruto to go into this election at disadvantage of the others. Maybe he can introduce himself, Dr. David.
Hello, Daktari. My name is Kirenya Mwenda. We are friends on social media platforms. Yes, I come from Meru County, but today I'm here around Kilifi. I've been moving around this place since Monday, listening to views of Kenyans and especially citizens from this, Kilifi County. One thing is, in the morning, I decided to come and see what is happening around this Dolphin Hotel because there's been a hue and cry that public land has been, encroached, and someone by the name Deputy President of this Republic, Dr. William Ruto, grabbed this land. Actually, it is said it was practically impossible to take a photo around this place when this guy used to wield a lot of power. So on the issues of elections, I hold the opinion that IEBC is not ready to hold this election come 9th of August. So therefore, we need, IEBC actually needs time to prepare itself. Remember, even the independent candidates have not had a good time to, prepare and campaign, because IEBC has not played their critical role of being a good referee and an impartial referee. You remember there has been issues of even Raila Odinga the other day complained of ballot papers being printed by some people, allied or who are good friends to this guy called Wetangula. So therefore, I hold the opinion that maybe Chebukati should be kicked out, and then we get someone who is impartial. We get someone who will be a good referee, so that we can have a free, fair, credible elections in this country that will not, get us into 2007 bloodshed and mass displacement of people from their, workstations, from their lands, from their homes and stuff like that. So I think for me, president should, find a way. Our president should find a way to push this election so that everyone has a fair a chance of presenting their agenda to the people, and then we can now say we have a free and fair elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my brother, and thank you very much for finding your Meru man. Meru, you are all from one place. I'm very, very happy, and Meru is my place, my county of choice. Let's cross over before we close. Kiptanui in Nakuru, and then Miriam knows the order of the day, but for me, Miriam, is a sad day. So sad that a country wastes all these billions of shillings to a sham election that will be nullified by a stroke of a pen. I think we better sober up. And it is not only me now calling for the resignation of Chebukati. A court is now live telling him to resign.
And Doc, sorry, but when you think about it, because we know Kenya Kwanza were complaining so much about the IEBC, but lately they seem to be very okay and content in the manner in which the preparation are ongoing. They're not complaining so much. I'm not suggesting
because
anything.
They had stolen the ballot papers. They were going to bring them from Chebukube, from Uganda.
Yeah, they're supposed to, according to this story, the excess ballot papers are supposed to come from Uganda, Kenya border. Yes,
there is a house in Uganda where the mafia operating from Russian mafia who are interfering with the Uganda. I wrote these things down. Me, I'm not fearing anybody. It is there. It might not be, I can't say it is being done by President Museveni. No, but there is someone in Uganda who is working for Ruto, who has placed this mafia house there. And it is doing all that. And me, I'm not a boss. I don't have guns to fight the people. I have the brain to tell the drive. And as a journalist, I've told you, there were people I could identify in Kenya Kwanza. I could identify 12 Ugandans, 12 high-ranking officials of Uganda government. I could see them there, both in intelligence and they were there in that meeting. I can tell you, but the people, when you tell them, they think you are lying. Kenya Kwanza is quiet. You know why it is quiet, Miriam? They had already known that the papers were going to come. But unfortunately, Matanga is still alive. So we blew them up. Tomorrow, there is another big one. Just by the nation tomorrow. That's the one of the editors who refused the money in Kwale. Hey, it is coming to happen. Why not? Right. I told you.
Kiptanui.
Miriam, I'm so sad. I'm so sad this afternoon. I'm so sad this Wednesday afternoon, Miriam. President Uhuru Kenyatta was here in 2007, 2008. He saw what happened. After taking over in 2013, Miriam, the first thing President Uhuru Kenyatta, which he did, was to resettle the high debts of the election violence of 2007, 2008. He took budget. He took a lot of money to have. Now, some of the people have not gone back to their farms. Some of the people, we have few of them who have not been settled. What was the reason? What was the cause of that? It was because of the political TVs. Was the election violence. Miriam, I want to congratulate Dr. Masiang with the good work he's doing. President Uhuru Kenyatta, I want to send this very strong message to you. You have some few days to retire. You've done a lot to this country. Why don't you postpone these elections? Rather than we go to these elections while we have people like Chebukati, who is not interested, he's no longer, he's not even interested in these elections. He's not interested to, that is why he has become the cartel. You see, Miriam, as the more we expose these things, the more the country is being polarized. How can you be part and parcel of the people who are procuring for ballot papers? Wetangula, when you hear Wetangula, you hear the fake gold. Miriam, you are in this country when Wetangula was implicated. When you hear about Wetangula, Miriam, you hear about the Tokyo embassy. And let me tell you this without fear, that the center of all these things is none other than the chief priest of corruption, William Samoei Ruto. He is one of the person, he has planted, the way I said yesterday, he has planted these people all over, doing fake businesses, from fake firearms, from fake deals, from fake fruit farmer. So, Your Excellency, the President, I know you are hearing this. Cancel the elections for the peace of this country. Thank you.
Okay. Karanja, Ajevan, I've not forgotten about you. Your thoughts on this new revelation and these claims by Azimio One Kenya Alliance? Jevan?
Jevan Karanja.
Yeah, thank you very much, Miriam and Daktari. And I'm in the same flow of mind of thought that the election, IEBC is not adequately prepared for this election. And what we are doing, we are putting ourselves in a very awkward position where we might end up having some electoral triggered violence by our politicians because of the gaps and the loopholes that have been created by Wafula Chebukati. I think it's about time Wafula Chebukati stepped up to his mandate or gone out of the office and left the office to someone else who can deliberate the duties of IEBC, who can guarantee Kenya free and credible elections, because at this juncture, we are not adequately prepared. And those independent candidates who were denied a chance to run for the presidency, if they happen to go back, Miriam, we don't have time. The ballot paper have already started the process of printing the ballot paper. That means the election, the general election, might be delayed for some months so that we can prepare adequately for this election. And I wish that will be the case, because we don't want to lose lives, we don't want to lose people, we don't want to lose property worth billions because of a process that is worth 2.2 billion. I think it's wise we save this country from the damage that can be caused by a malpractice, an election that has a lot of errors, rather than going for an election. Then we cry that we didn't anticipate this. This is something that is very clear. The politicians, the side of William Ruto, the side of Azimio, have already raised the alarm that Wafula Chebukati is not the right referee for this election. I think it's about time Wafula Chebukati went and we get someone else who can guarantee Kenyans free and fair election. We don't want to go back to where we were in 2007 and 2017. Thank you.
Okay, and just to quote a part of what Secretary General for Azimio Coalition, soon a Member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed, said yesterday, we have now established beyond any doubt that Inform Lycos, the company that was awarded with the tender of printing the ballot papers, the Info Lycos SA, secured the contract through the personal intervention of Mr. Wetangula, who continues to exert influence over the contract. So Junet is saying they do have all the evidence, and so I hopefully, Chebukati will say something before the end of this day, because this is not good. And this is not good at all. And so we shall be waiting to hear if they will he will respond to that. And also Wetangula, who has been mentioned. Doc, do we put a stop and take a very short break and then come back and look at our next topic on diplomatic leaks, where we shall be looking at President Uhuru Kenyatta's, foreign policy. Yes, Douglas.
At this point, as a republic, we cannot afford to have elections, and I believe Wetangula was also mentioned in the diplomatic tiff that we had with the UAE when he was accused of stealing millions of shillings, hundreds of millions of shillings from the Sheikh of Dubai, Sheikh Maltoum. And if Wafula Chebukati, Moses Wetangula, and all that group of people is mentioned in this scandal, Miriam, we have no mercy for Wafula Chebukati, a man that we have said before is incompetent, and a man that should be given a place in committee so that he can be able to be serving his time from there, Miriam. In this country, we are not in short of competent people and competent lawyers that can read the commission and that can also take charge of our electoral processes, Miriam. I also think, as I conclude on my point, this country, the weak link between free, credible, and transparent elections in this country is Wafula Chebukati. Postpone elections to the next 1 year or the next 4 months or whatever it is. The courts have to grant these individuals who are blocked from the presidential contest before by Wafula Chebukati a chance to be at the ballot, that their aspirations and dreams can also find meaning at the ballot. We need to be able to choose who is going to be my next president. For example, Douglas Bundi Kelemi is going to vote for Raila Amolo Odinga, Wajakoya as his supporters, and others are going to also choose who is going to be their next president. We cannot deny these people an opportunity because Wafula Chebukati has connived with the criminals to bring this country down. We cannot allow 2 or 3 people to bring this country down. Over 50 million Kenyans, Miriam, have hope and their aspirations in the Republic of Kenya. But their dreams and aspirations are going to actualize in this country, and they have no other country. You and I have no other motherland. You and I have no other country. We cannot go anywhere. This is our country. We can't ban it because of 2 or 3 individuals led by Wafula Chebukati. It's time we rocked him up, Miriam.
Okay. All right. Doc, do we end here? We take a short break and then we come back with the diplomatic leaks, where we shall be looking at President Uhuru Kenyatta's diplomatic legacy. I don't know if you all know that we do have actually a foreign policy. For the first time, we have a written foreign policy that the Jubilee government wrote slightly a year after coming to power in November 2014. So we shall be looking at that and see
Miriam, having seen the good topic that we have just had, and the way we are sweet at sweetening this topic, I propose this diplomatic leaks, we can hammer it tomorrow nicely. Okay. When we have 2 good hours. It's a long thing that Uhuru Kenyatta has done, so that we tell Kenyans exactly what has happened, what he went, where he went, how he came back, how Ruto was eating the money which he was bringing back. You see, don't forget that. So if we rush it in the next 30 minutes or 20 minutes,
all right,
we shall be tired. So let's use these 10 minutes left to summarize our venom on this guy called William Samoei Ruto.
Do you mean the one Wajakoya is proposing we start selling?
The venom, yes, the snake.
All right, and the people who traveled back.
The one that sells $60,000.
The people who traveled back from Mombasa yesterday agree with you. I think they're so tired, they want to go home and rest.
Even those who are still in Mombasa, I can show you. Very many people are here. Look, they are here. Look at that. Everybody is seated. Even one of them is sleeping. We have been working so hard.
Especially that one has been sleeping. Okay, so let's wrap up and then we give them time to rest. And I know you also need some rest.
He wasn't sleeping. He's
resting.
My cameraman, and he has stationed the camera. Miriam, let me show you the camera. We are ready. We are ready for more work.
Yeah.
We are ready.
All right. Understood.
Don't mention our location, please.
All right, understood. So we shall look at the foreign, the diplomatic legacy
You
tomorrow.
See, he's here, he's woken up, he wants to work. Now there is, show the camera, show them.
Okay.
We are not joking here, we are here at the beach. I
see
we are now going to Mr. Ruto's Dolphin Hotel with pictures, live.
Well, they have to get permission there, otherwise we don't want legal trouble.
No, we shall go with me.
Let's leave the legal trouble with the IEBC. All right.
Do I have any problem? Let him come there and stop me. I've been looking for how to slap him, big out slap. He has been threatening to slap people. I'll give him a big slap. Where we are?
All right, I hear you, Doc. So let's. All right, so let's. So we are. There's a question I asked earlier, Doc, and you. I think we had a bit of a connection problem, but we didn't get to.
Yes.
You didn't get to respond to that. This seems to be this hurdle, this case by the judge yesterday in the court. Do you look at it as a start for a very long legal battle that IEBC is set to face from the courts?
Yes. Miriam, this is a very long battle. You have put it right in the canon. It's a long legal battle that you cannot finish, and therefore you cannot hold this election. It touches the presidential. Mark you, it doesn't touch the local MP. It is the presidential. So the only people who can finish this tussle are the Supreme Court. And they give us an opinion. Do we have the signatures? Yes or not? Do we use those only signatures? No. Do we have independent people cleared? No or yes? We go up to the end. So watch it when we have 34 days. Cancel the election. Didn't I tell you one big one?
And
I want some, and in the production, print for me, Stephen, a big word in red. Cancel election. Send it to me.
The gubernatorial mess in Nairobi that you're experiencing with Sakaja has now spilled into Ugandan courts now. It's playing out there. And the university went to court so that it stops the Minister of Education to investigate the matter. What?
One of the people, of the team university was in the opening session. In the team, one of the team, the owners of the university was in Kasarani.
But why would they stop the court the Minister of Education to investigate if there's nothing to hide?
No, they just one of the teams in Nakuru. Ruto chased out journalists because Ugandan people had arrived there in that meeting. Do you remember that?
We questioned
I
why.
I am the eldest man for intelligence in this area. Chunga kabisa, nilianza 78. I've been a rebel since 1978. Under Idi Amin wires in the Chebukube, everywhere I've been passing there. There's nothing that can stop me. I have told you, the two guys who own the university were at Kasarani. I know them. They were even in the camera as guests of the party. Uganda sent up, they didn't send, they came here, they are friends of Ruto. Remember, Ruto has got Starbuck oil company, which supplies oil in Uganda, which is cheaper than the petrol in Kenya. Hala, nyenye mulale tu, ndugu mulale, anawaiba, ndugu mulale. That is, there's a song here. Is what is it? There's a song, can someone can gradually help me? Mulale, what is that song? What is that song called? Tanu, you don't know that song called Mulale? Ndugu mulale something. Watu wanalala, mtu anakula. And now you are saying you want to do election. Which election is this, Jamen? This is a wrong thing. Don't just stop it. Print for me something called cancel the election. That's it in red and send me hashtag cancel. Put there hashtag cancel elections. Nobody is going to, it's my website. Are you going to stop it from being published? I want to publish, to tell people cancel it, that, you know, I might be a star at the end of the day after 10, 11. I will be a shining star. But that card, everybody will be looking. That Ugandan man who used to tell, you know? Miriam, I want to tell you, my dear sister, that whenever I travel, there are people who come to my table when I'm eating food to say, you are a great guy. And when you look at them, elderly with hair, some of them say, you are a great guy. Eh? Some of them pay even my bill. Eh? Because I speak my mind. I don't hide. And the Kenyan masses media is hiding. They are not speaking about this thing. This is not an election. I mean, if you look at this story, this was just a mafia. It's a mafia game that is played. No wonder Chebukati was very upset. Very upset. When they canceled, they said they canceled this deal. He was upset. So thank you very much, Miriam. I think let's do this show of diplomatic leaks tomorrow to allow people to go, and I can see my man needs to go. We shall do our clips later on in the evening when it is cool. It is now becoming hot. It has been raining since we arrived here. All in all, let me use these few minutes to say, I want to thank all the teams in Kisumu, in Nakuru, in Mombasa, in Kwale, those teams that have been online, those teams that went out on the bridge, Javani Karanja, Douglas Kirimi. Thank you very much for doing all, Kibutanui. Thank you, Sabian, for doing what you were supposed. You did a great job in the coffee, in the potato plantations and agriculture. Prepare for us on Friday. We are on to Suswa, Naivasha, Nakuru. I will be your guest live there. So you prepare for us. Prepare for us now that Miriam is out. We shall all be there, and she's here now. So all of us are going to be around those areas, and all those also in Nyeri. Prepare for the group led by Douglas Kirimi, Gerard, who is our lead editor, camera editor, chief of production. Atakuja huko paka Nyeri. Siku ya Monday watakuwa Nyeri live. So, and then you prepare for another group, which is also penetrating via up to Kitale, Nzoia, in conjunction with you, Eldoret. That is next week, and we conclude. Then prepare another team that will go towards Migori. That is all, where we shall be ending with Kidi Mwaga, who will be leading us in his territory, plus Mr. Sean Wesonga, as they have interest in those areas. Thank you very much. God bless you. And I think, Miriam, if people don't listen to us, Jesus said, the Bible says, gather the soil, the dust, and go. Can we now gather the dust and go away now? Give us permission, please.
Yeah, I think so. We can go for lunch. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again here.
Gladwell, how are you? How is the fish? Is it still, did you carry some?
No, Nairobi is very